Samasayogataha.
दान धर्मान राजधर्मान
Dana dharman rajadharman.
मोक्ष धर्मान विभागशः
Moksha dharman vibhagasah.
धर्मान भगवत धर्मान
Sri dharman Bhagavat Dharma.
समास व्यास योगतः
Samasayogataha.
Anadharman, Rajadharman,
Dana dharman rajadharman.
Shadharman, Vivagasaha,
Moksha dharman vibhagasah. Sri dharman Bhagavat Dharma.
Savyasa Yogataha,
Samasayogataha.
दान धर्मान राजधर्मान
Dana dharman rajadharman.
प्रशः
Moksha dharman vibhagasah. Sri dharman Bhagavat Dharma.
सव्यासयोगतः
Samasayogataha. Everybody joined from online. Okay, anybody else want to read?
दान धर्मान राजधर्मान
Dana dharman rajadharman.
मोक्ष धर्मान विभागशः
Moksha dharman vibhagasah.
धर्मान भगवत धर्मान
Sri dharman Bhagavat Dharman.
समास योगतः
Samasayogataha. Dana dharman. The acts of charity. Raja dharman. Pragmatic activities of the kings. Moksha dharman. The acts for salvation. So when you see the word Raja dharman, the word-to-word meaning is pragmatic activities of the kings. It is not just acts of the kings. Pragmatic activities of the kings. Okay. Vibhagashaha. By divisions. Stri dharma. Duties of women. Bhagavat Dharma. The acts of the devotees. Samasa. Generally. Vyasa. Explicitly. Yogataha. By means of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Avai Charana Ravinda. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. He then explained by divisions, acts of charity, the pragmatic activities of a king, and activities for salvation. Then he described the duties of women and devotees, both briefly and extensively. Kindly repeat the translation. He then explained by divisions, acts of charity, the pragmatic activities of a king, and activities for salvation. Then he described the duties of women and devotees, both briefly and extensively. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. So somebody can start reading this.
This charity is one of the householder's main functions, and he should be prepared to give in charity at least 50% of his hard-earned money. A brahmachari or student should perform sacrifices, a house to gives charity, and a person in the retired life or in the renounced order should practice penances and austerities. Those are the general functions of all the ashramas or orders of life on the path of self-realization.
Okay. So, what is the general function of all ashramas or orders of life? It is not some kind of a self-aggrandizement. Okay, it is about doing austerities and giving. So, how much a householder should give away? 50%. My God. That's a very tall order. Huh? Yes, it's indeed a tall order, but this is what is the general expectation. Eventually, one should be able to, lead an entire family towards that kind of a goaling. That's the uh, thing. Who all have, followed such kind of a great examples in the past. Where do we get this 50% principle? Rupa Goswami, right? Rupa Goswami, at the time of leaving his employment with Nawab Hussain Shah, what he had done, he had acquired a lot of wealth. One boat full of gold coins. So he had given away 50% in charity to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And out of the 50%, around another 50%, means 25% of the total wealth, he had, given to his friends and relatives. And remaining 25%, he left it for emergencies. That's the standard of charity or austerity, Rupa Goswami had set for us. So generally, whenever we look forward to, any example, we should not just follow some, our neighboring Vaishnavas. Okay, okay, it's good to take inspiration, but real inspiration, the standards are actually that of acharyas. Great acharyas, how they have lived their life, you know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he lived a life of a grahastha. How did he live? How Prabhupada lived as a life of a grahastha, So these are the things. Yeah, next continue. Somebody else can read.
The brahmachari training is sufficiently imparted to understand that the world as property belongs to the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. No one, therefore, can claim to be the proprietor of anything in the world. Therefore, in the life of a householder, which is a sort of license for sex enjoyment, one must give in charity for the service of the Lord. Everyone's energy is generated or borrowed from the reservoir of energy of the Lord.
Okay, so what is the first training a child who's getting into the school is that, it is the child is sufficiently imparted to understand that the world has property belonging to the Supreme Lord. That's the fundamental, important lesson to be given. Because otherwise, it is what is that? Self-centered or extensively or exclusively human-centered way of, worldview will come. Right? When it becomes human-centric worldview, we will think that the entire universe has been created for our existence. And then what will happen? We will start, you know, abusing the rights of the lower species, right? Be it plants or animals and all of them. We don't consider that as something having their own rights. We forget that they all have rights and we assume that we only have rights. So it starts off like that and so on, so on. Then again in the humans, there will be again kind of some kind of a superiority feelings, okay, white superiority uh, or American superiority. So somebody is having superior rights means others are having inferior rights. You understand? So all of those kind of problems which are there in this world, all can be addressed if as a child the training is sufficiently imparted to understand the world as property belongs to, again we should be careful. It's not belongs to some Brahman. It belongs to the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Means the Lord has an agenda. The Lord is very much seeing that agenda, how the agenda is working or not. It is like that. Once, CPP was giving one class He was telling us one incident. One big sannyasi who is a Mayavadi, okay, and he was very much actively into this Hindutva causes and all of those things and all, okay, came and met CPP Sims. So then he says that, there ek astitva hai. Huh? There's one, what you call astitva means what? It is,
Base.
huh?
Base.
Sorry?
Foundation. No? Foundation.
So there is one kind of a, what you call, uh, inexplicable thing in this world. Inexplicable identity in this world, okay, which is watching, huh? What is all happening. And that's so something and all he tells, and finally he says that that's so now right now this Hindutva Dharma is now going up. Okay, all of those things and that. After all hearing all of those things, so CPB was thinking, if there is one person, I mean, if the Supreme Lord is kind of completely Brahman, has no feelings and no form, no nothing, how is he watching? How is he watching, and how is he trying to change the political situation of India? So Prabhu was saying how such a kind of a big sannyasi and has so stupid understanding of impersonalism. Proper impersonalists don't even talk like that. Proper Mayavadis don't even talk like that. So anyway, so the thing is that no one therefore can claim, so property belongs to the Supreme Lord, who is a personality of Godhead. That's important understanding, which is given as a brahmachari. So no one therefore can claim to be the proprietor of anything in this world. So now, having said that, no one can be the proprietor. Okay, so a child who's trained as such, has understood that his or her own limitations and got into the grahastha life, okay, which is a sort of license for sex enjoyment. So then what happens? Okay, so now because Lord has given me an opportunity to enjoy myself, so hence I should give in charity for the service of the Lord. Okay. So why I should give it in charity for service of the Lord? Because everything is supposed to be Lord's proprietorship. Okay. And everyone's energy is generated or borrowed from the reservoir of the energy of the Lord. Okay. So we should actually develop this kind of a perspective. Huh? So let's see the next example. Therefore, the resultant actions of such energy must be given to the Lord in the shape of transcendental loving service for Him. Not that grudgingly, कुछ देना है, दे दो. Huh? Not in a grudging manner, but in a manner of what? Loving service, transcendental loving service for Him. And what is the example given by Prabhupada? As the rivers draw water from the sea to the clouds and again go down to the sea, similarly, our energy is borrowed from the Supreme Source, the Lord's energy, and it must return to the Lord. Hmm? So, this is the perspective which we should develop. This is a training. Hmm? What the training means, what? Training of your eyes, of our eyes. When we are going and seeing this ordinary world, okay, you're driving your car, going in the road, stuck up in a jam, traffic jam, hmm? you know, you are irritated to the core. Your time is getting wasted. Hmm? So you should ask a question. Am I seeing the world properly, like the way the Lord wants me to look at this world? Hmm? So many people are going around. Are they thinking about, that, they are actually exploiting Lord's energy? No. They are thinking that this energy which they are under control, the car which they are under control, it is their automatic owned energy. They're not even thinking about giving it. Okay. That in our irritation, in our frustration, we are thinking that it is my energy, it is my thing, and my right is getting frustrated, and hence I am angry. Hmm? But so like this, every circumstances, okay, either outside or inside in our homes, okay, we should try to develop this perspective of what? Isha. That's the Ishopanishad. If you see, Isha. Hmm? In the Ishopanishad, in the first verse after the invocation. What is that first verse after the invocation? Jagat. Hmm? Jagat. Tena Bunjita Magrila Kashasit Tanam. Right? Ishavashamidagam sarvam metkincha jagatyam jagat magrudakasya siddhanam kurvanneveha garmani. Where is that? Ishopanishad. I don't know why I'm not able to find. Oh, sorry, it is so small. Hmm. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. One should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. And next verse is very important. Okay. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind him to the laws of karma. There is no alternative to this way of man. And so if you are frustrated in a traffic situation and becoming angry, huh, the driver has missed the Google by some 10 meters, we becoming angry. So what does it mean? We are not thinking in this way. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things knowing well to whom they belong. Right. So this is an important understanding which we should, try to emulate. Yeah. So how does the reverse, what you call, uh, keep on dump the water into the sea with so much force, right? Kunti Devi also says that let my attraction to Lord Krishna be Gange Vogam Udanvati. Okay, like the way Ganga is forcefully coming into the ocean, okay, with that much force, with that much intensity. Similarly, our energy, okay, should also, which is also coming, coming from borrowed from the supreme source as Lord's energy, must also be returned to the Lord, and that is the perfection of our energy. Whenever we see this kind of short statements in Prabhupada's books, that is the perfection of our energy. Immediately we should, wait very attentively, go through what Prabhupada is trying to say. Go back into the previous sentences and try to see what Prabhupada is trying to say. Yeah, continue reading.
The Lord, therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita 9.27 says that whatever we do, whatever we undergo as penance, whatever we sacrifice, whatever we eat, or whatever we give in charity must be offered to Him, the Lord. That is the way of utilizing our borrowed energy. When our energy is utilized in that way, our energy is purified from the contamination of material inebrities, and thus we become fit for our original natural
Life of
life of
service.
service.
Okay. So I want to give one two nice stories. Okay. These are actual facts which has happened in the life of Ramanujacharya. There were two people, one man and woman. That man's name was Willi Dasan. That is, if you go by Tamil equivalent, or Danu Dasa. Okay. So this Willi Dasa was a very powerful wrestler. Willi Dasa means the one who holds a bow and arrows. A powerful wrestler himself, well built, very handsome, young, and he was a terror for his enemies. Okay. And there was one more woman named Ponachi. Okay. So I don't remember exact the Tamil translation of it. If somebody can help me, what does Ponachi means?
One means gold, and Achi is generally refers to a proper elderly lady or
Huh.
middle-aged ladies.
Something like that. So she's basically like, very golden complexioned. Okay, something like that. She's very, very beautiful. Okay. Again, young lady. Okay. So this man's infatuation for this woman and vice versa, went on unabated, and then they eventually get married. So this man, just married. Okay. Was so infatuated. So he always wanted to do anything, his wife would tell him to do. Okay. And down south it is very hot in the summers, right? So how he used to walk means, he used to put an umbrella to her. Okay. And always used to look at her. So, everybody will be looking at what is this fellow. Okay. Yeah. So this fellow is looking at the girl and just walking, and, so he's showing his back to the people, right? And he's walking like that. Yeah. And he is walking like that. I'll try to share. This is a very nice, interesting images are already there, very nicely painted. Let me see if I get it. Villi Dasa and Pulnachi. Yeah, images. Uh, Villi Dasan. Yes, I think I got it quickly. I'm lucky. Okay. Like this. Okay.
Reverse.
Huh?
Reverse.
Reverse. Okay. The wrestler and the most beautiful twins. So this is a story which happens in Srirangam. Okay. So he was walking like this, with his back showing to the all, and then he's always looking at this beautiful girl's, who's his wife's eyes. So he was walking like that, and he comes near to the Srirangam temple. He was very fortunate. So on the other side, Ramanujacharya is coming forward. Okay. Ramanujacharya has a huge following, right? Some thousands of his disciples, and all of his disciples are looking at this fellow. What is happening? Okay. So because he was walking without this thing and all, so he accidentally comes and strikes Ramanujacharya. Okay. So then Ramanujacharya asks, "What are you doing?" Eh? He says that, "Okay, I am, I don't, why are you disturbing me from, the something seeing which is the most beautiful?" So then Ramanujacharya says that, "Acha, this is the most beautiful one. What if I show you something more beautiful?" He protests, saying that, "No, there's nothing more beautiful than this." Okay. Then Ramanujacharya says, "No, there is something more beautiful than this." Actually, at that time, Lord's Pallaki procession was happening. So then he holds him, Ramanujacharya, and drags him and brings him to the Lord's, Pallaki was happening. And he says, "Look." Okay. And he makes him look at Lord's, beautiful face. then that person gets immediately transformed. You know? The person gets immediately transformed, seeing the beautiful eyes of, Kamalaksha. The Lord's eyes are lotus-eyed. The lotus-eyed Lord, right? Seeing that beautiful eyes of the Lord, that person gets immediately transformed and he says, yes, there's nothing more beautiful than this Lord's eyes. Okay? Then this family, okay, and even his wife also becomes transformed, okay, and they agree to become, the servants of Ramanujacharya. And because he's basically a kind of from the Kshatriya clan, he is quite wealthy. Okay. Sorry. He was quite wealthy. So one day, there was a commotion in the ashramam of Ramanujacharya. Okay. Within the ashram, there was some kind of a commotion was there. The Acharya asks, what has happened? So the report comes back that, two brahmacharis are fighting. Acha? Two brahmacharis are fighting for what? So they said that, one brahmachari said that, his dhoti was lost because, all dhotis look same. Correct. They have no option. So, the dhotis are, so it was about a fighting about whose dhoti is that. Uh, So maybe he wouldn't have written his initial or whatever. Hmm? Some way of identifying. Okay, so the both brahmacharis are fighting, saying, no, 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 this is my dhoti. That brahmachari is also, no, no, this is my dhoti. So then Ramanujacharya calls them and says that, okay, you do one thing. Hmm? In the night, go to the house of Villidasan and Punnachi. Hmm? Punnachi wears lot of gold jewelry. Hmm? She would have kept aside some of the jewelry in the night. It's difficult to sleep, right, with jewelry in the night. You steal and come. The disciples were shocked. What Acharya is saying that go steal some disciples' jewelry. But anyway, they cannot dare to ask this question to Ramanujacharya. Very big Acharya. Okay. So he agrees and they wait for an appropriate time. Both of these disciples, they go in the night, slowly get into the house. So, Punaji asks, why is that, Acharya's disciples are coming late in the night? Okay. So Vilidasan says, maybe, they wanted some jewelry, some money, maybe. They're feeling shy to ask. Okay. Maybe, Acharya wanted something, he was also feeling shy to ask. So let us act like as though we are, intensely sleeping. Okay. So then, they come very carefully as though they know how to steal properly. These disciples, what they know properly, they don't know anything. Yeah. They don't know the stealing also requires a skill, right? Skill set, right? Hmm? So then they steal the jewelry. So then she also moves. Punachi moves in such a way that, the other side of the jewelry also can be taken. So they first will be very afraid, what has happened. Okay, so still stay, little bit more is their jewelry to be stolen. Then they will take away and then give a report to Ramanujacharya. So then Ramanujacharya asks, so how are they? Then say, they are very, very, deeply sleeping. Okay. So then like this and they'll explain. So next day, next day morning, this Vilidas in Punachi comes and meets Ramanujacharya. Then they ask, is there anything, any seva is required from our side? Yeah, we are ready to offer. Then Ramanujacharya calls these disciples. You see, this is the difference in the consciousness. So one may be an externally as a, because in those days it is said that because this Vilidasan was coming from a little lower caste. you know Among the Kshatriyas also some are higher Kshatriyas and there are some are lower, kind of Kshatriyas. Okay. So he was coming from a lower caste, you know. So there was some kind of a, uh, caste feelings used to be there among these disciples. So then Ramanujacharya says, you see, there are brahmacharis, who are fighting for a dhoti. And there is other side, a person who is apparently from a lower caste, mm, was so attracted to his wife earlier, but now got transformed so much that he's not attached to his own wealth, and rather he wants to come and offer more service. Okay. He was not even thinking that hey, somebody has come and stolen, coming and complaining that these disciples have complained. I mean, have done this kind of stealing. You don't know Acharya. Maybe you don't know. Hmm? He was not even thinking about all of those things. Hmm? So like that, Ramanujacharya actually, tells, you know. Now with this context of the story, okay, let's read further. Hmm.
Development is a great science, like modern diplomacy for political supremacy. The kings were trained systematically to become beneficent and not merely tax collectors. They were trying to perform different sacrifices only for the prosperity of the subjects. To lead the prajas to the attainment of salvation was a great duty of the king.
So the Rajadharma is not meant for what? To show that hey, I am king. Okay. I can do whatever I want. This entire wealth is mine. Okay. And not merely some tax collectors. 2 days back, I don't want to tell the names. Okay. Somebody was giving an experience of how one very big politician in our city extracts money. Okay. And how he changes his mind at a whim. Okay. 20 lakhs will become 60 lakhs. I'm talking about bribes. So, very unfortunate situation we are in today. Anyway. Hmm? So, they were trained to perform different sacrifices only for the prosperity of the subjects. So, the issue here is there is no training. Anybody else is there online who would like to read? If somebody can read online.
Yes, Prabhu, can I read? The father, the spiritual master, and the king are not
The father, the spiritual master.
are not to become irresponsible in the matter of
Father,
leading their
the spiritual
subjects
master and the king,
to the path
and
of
not to become
ultimate liberation
irresponsible in
from
the
birth,
matter of
death,
leading the subjects
diseases, and old
the
age.
path of ultimate liberation from birth, death, diseases, and old age.
Just 1 second, huh? What happened? Why the sound is not coming enough? I think some remote.
Connected to the TV.
Huh?
Sound is not connected.
The sound is connected to the TV, but TV sound is not this one. Is it connected?
No, it's connected to sound.
Let's see, no? MITV it says. Increase the volume. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, when these primary duties are properly discharged, there is no need of government of the people by the people. In modern days, the people in general occupy the administration by the strength of manipulated votes, but they are never trained in the primary duties of the king. And that is also not possible for everyone. Under
Okay,
the
so the important point here is what is the fundamental principle? The principle is that whether everybody is doing their proper duties or not. Okay, if they are properly doing their discharging their duties and then going towards the salvation, attainment of salvation, there is no need for democracy. In modern days, the people in general occupy by only how much votes manipulation, but they are never trained in the primary duties of the king, and that is also not possible for everyone. Continue.
Under the circumstances, the untrained administrators play havoc to make the subjects happy in all respects. On the other hand, these untrained administrators gradually become rogues and thieves and increase the taxation to finance a top heavy administration that is useless for all purposes. Actually, the qualified brahmanas are meant to give direction to
To the kings.
the kings for proper administration in terms of scriptures like the Manu Samhita and Dharma Shastras of Parasara. A typical king is a typical king is the ideal of the people in general, and if the king is pious, religious, chivalrous, and munificent, the citizens generally follow him.
1 second. So, again, very recently, our Hare Krishna Fields landlady is a former minister, right? So she went and complained to the CM saying that, what is happening to your exchequer? Okay. You are giving money to left, right, and center to every people. Then those people are now not working. Right now, all these freebies. You know what that CM told it seems is, no, you as a minister has enjoyed a lot, no? Uh, Now let these people also enjoy. So why I said this was, these untrained administrators play havoc to make the subjects happy in all respects. Uh, that subsidy, this subsidy, that, and nobody is, a proper administrator, and nobody is working. Everybody is becoming lazy and lazy. So this is not the way. And a typical king is the ideal of the people in general, and if the king is pious, religious, chivalrous, and munificent, the citizens generally follow him. What are the just four things are required? The king should be pious, religious. He should be chivalrous and munificent. And the citizens will follow him naturally. And go on, please.
Such a king is not a lazy, sensuous person living at the cost of the subjects, but alert always to kill thieves and dacoits. The pious kings were not merciful to dacoits and thieves in the name of nonsensical ahimsa. The thieves and dacoits were punished in an exemplary way so that in the future no one would dare commit such nuisances in an organized form. Such thieves and dacoits were never meant for administration as they are now.
See what Prabhupada is saying? What is happening nowadays? Okay. In the name of rights of, people who are behind the bars. Okay. And things like that, capital punishment has come down and things like that. Huh? And as a result, what is happening? Administration is now filled with thieves and dacoits. Recently, when I went to Dubai, somebody was telling me, oh, there in that place, you'll not be much worried about stealing or anything like that because the punishments are very severe. Okay, no discussion, deportation. Something like that, it seems. So even now, in some of the countries, it is, these principles what our Prabhupada is talking about is not something which is impractical. Practically, we are seeing it's happening. So the thieves and dacoits cannot be given this ahimsa, nonsensical ahimsa. Next.
The
Somebody has.
taxation law was simple. There was no force, no encroachment. The king had a right to take 1/4 of the production made by the subject. The king had a right to claim 1/4 of one's allotted wealth. one should never grudge to part with it, because the pious king and religious army, there was enough natural wealth, namely grains, fruits, flowers, silk, cotton, wheat, jewels, minerals, etc. And therefore, no one was materially unhappy.
Okay, so let us understand this. What is the thing today? So the taxation law was quite simple. Okay, it is only 1/4 of actual production made by the subject. No force that if a person, there is a what you call famine, no enough water, still you have to give. No, it is not like that. During the British era, it used to be like that. That's how India lost all of its wealth. Very, very notorious administration. If a person is not earning wealth also, still he has to give out of his savings. That is the nature in those days. And one would never grudge to part with it because due to the pious king. Because the king is pious, okay, so they were not having any kind of a grudging place to give. And what is this one? So it's actually 25%. Apparently, it seems to be much more than the 18% GST. Very, very high. What do you all say? Yeah? What do you all say?
Yes.
Yeah?
Correct.
So 25% more, no? Why? So 18% is less only then. So actually very simple. If you take any business turnover, so on the turnover, there is this 18%. So now on the turnover, say if 100 rupees is my turnover, how much will be the profit? Yes, some 25% is the profit. And on the profit, what is the tax again? Yes, some 25%. 25% to 25% is around 6 rupees or 7 rupees. 6 or 7 rupees plus 18 rupees, 25 rupees is fine. In one way. But now what? Government is doing such a complicated taxation. So much complicated that you have to compulsorily go to some so-called professional. And that professional also will do some mistakes. And then again you'll get some notices. Again you go back to the professional.
Also, probably the tax is not utilized in the proper way. Given that 18% was utilized.
Yeah, correct. Correct. The citizens were rich in agriculture and animal husbandry, and therefore they had enough grains, fruits, and milk without any artificial needs of soaps and toilets, cinemas, and bars. Next. Anybody else would like to read online? Hmm.
Hare
And
Krishna Prabhu.
yeah,
The,
yes.
the, the king had to see that the reserved energy of humanity was properly utilized. Human energy is not exactly meant for fulfilling animal propensities, but for self realization. The whole government was specifically designed to fulfill this particular purpose. As such, the king had no the king had to select properly the cabinet ministers, but not on the strength of wrong background.
Of
The
voting background.
ministers,
Of voting background.
oh sorry, strength of voting background. The ministers, the military commanders, or even the ordinary soldiers were all selected by personal qualification, and the king had to supervise them properly before they were appointed to their respective posts. The king
Hmm.
was specifically,
Now, just one
especially
second. Just one
vigilant.
second. Up to here, we'll just discuss. So, what is the primary duty and how the government is designed? The government is designed to see that every part of the energy, again, let's go back to the initial purport, and Ishavashyam, entire world is actually controlled and owned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now, what is the king? King as a representative of God, his job was to design the entire administration to see whether everybody is using the energy for that particular purpose. What is the particular purpose? Salvation, self realization. Eventually go in that direction. Nobody saying that, you starve, you have nice prasadam, nicely engage, all the energy towards Lord service, hmm, and enjoy this world, no problem, with the right perspective. hmm. And so now the king also has to select properly the cabinet ministers, but not on the strength of voting background. Right? No, how much winnability is there, and that person will be made as a politician. How much money he can distribute, 1,500 rupees or 2,000 rupees per vote. Correct. Yeah. So the king was especially vigilant. So next, go on, please. Next one. 1 second.
The king was especially vigilant to see that the tapasvis or persons who sacrificed everything for disseminating spiritual knowledge were never disregarded. They knew well that the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, never tolerates any insult to his unalloyed devotees. Such tapasvis were trusted leaders, even the rogues and thieves who
Who would never disobey the orders of the
who
tapas?
would never disobey the orders of tapasvis. The king would give special protection to illiterates, the helpless, and widows of the state. Defense measures were arranged previous to any attack by the enemies.
So
The
just before
taxing
that,
process.
just 1 second. So let's see how king was very, very, properly disposed to the tapasvis. And tapasvis were trusted leaders of everybody in the society and even of the rogues and thieves. Rogues and thieves, they will not listen to the king. Okay? They always try to create some disturbance. But these rogues and thieves are, they are ready to even listen to the Baba. Oh, Baba, acha hai, like that, you know. So that's how the society was, automatically balanced. Hmm? So defense measures were arranged previous to any, because obviously the king is having a lot of wealth. The rogue and thief will be, envious of this fellow. This fellow is having a lot of wealth. Now, how do I steal it? They'll think. Hmm? So defense measures were arranged previously to any attack by the enemies. The taxing process was easy and it was not meant for squandering, but was for strengthening the reserve fund. Tax is meant for what?
No freebies.
Huh?
No freebies.
No freebies. Not for just simply distributing money, redistributing money. Because government is a natural treasurer. It has to keep the treasury filled. So tomorrow some famine comes, what you will do? Huh? All citizens will be looking forward to the king. Then the king will be empty-handed. Hmm? So the soldiers were recruited from all parts of the world and they were trained for the special duties. Next paragraph is very important. I will read it very carefully one by one. See, actually, what Prabhupada is doing now, entire Shanti Parva, what Bhishmadeva has explained, taka, 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 Prabhupada is summarizing in one lines, two lines. Okay, so next paragraph I have seen. So many one-liners are there. So very carefully we'll read. As far as salvation is concerned, one has to conquer the principles of lust, anger, unlawful desires, avarice, and bewilderment. What we have to do if we have to get salvation, what we have to conquer? We have to conquer lust, anger, unlawful desires, avarice, and bewilderment. How these will get conquered, we will read now further. To get freedom from anger, one should learn how to forgive. Prabhu, I'm not able to control my anger. Then learn how to start forgiving. Forgiving, forget and forgive, forget and forgive, forget and forgive. No, big things you're not able to give up anger on somebody. Small things start giving up. No, Hmm? Somebody accidentally hit your car. Don't be very very angry. Forgive and forget, yeah. At least small things if you start doing, then bigger anger, you will be able to become freedom from the bigger anger later on. So one should not make plans in order to be free from unlawful desires. How we can give up unlawful desires? Don't make unnecessary plans. Too much of planning and scheming also will lead us to getting attached to our desires, lawful or unlawful. Okay, so we should be careful about how to manage the balance, planning versus being some open for some kind of a thing, right? So one should not make plans in order to be free from unlawful desires. By spiritual culture, one is able to conquer sleep. How to conquer sleep?
Mangala.
Huh? You should attend Mangalarti. You should come for Mangalarti. Today I was thinking, in Whitefield, how to create this habit among our congregation, to make them get up in the morning and come down to the deities. No, we see in our Rajajinagar or VK Hill, you see Mangalarti, how many congregation come? Everybody has to drive, no? Nobody can walk down the street. Dogs will bite them. So I was thinking in the morning, how to do this, when I was reading all of this. Yeah, so we have to create that, by spiritual culture, one is able to conquer sleep. What should be our attitude towards our sleep? Prabhupada used to say when he used to go for sleep, no, is the time he is wasting time. Sleep means wasting time. That should be our attitude. So one day, this particular story I heard from that Prabhupada disciple. His name was Guru Kripa Prabhu. Okay. So this was the time when Guru Kripa Prabhu was a sannyasi. Okay. He's like a Vietnam soldier. Okay. So he's a tough man with all the brahmacharis and everybody. Okay. So one day in the night, Prabhupada was there in his territory. He was a GBC. Okay. So he called. He pressed the buzzer in the night. And the servant came. He says, go call Guru Kripa. I was like wondering why Prabhupada is calling in the night. Okay. So then he comes and suddenly he washes his face and then rushes to Prabhupada's quarter. Then he gets up. He pays obeisances and stands up. Prabhupada, what happened? Prabhupada asks, what are you doing now? In the night, what we will be doing? In the night, what we will be doing? Prabhupada, I'm sleeping. Why are you sleeping? You are a young man. Huh? You see, I'm a old man. Am I sleeping? Like, Guru Prabhupada. Prabhupada, you are pure devotee. I am not a pure devotee. Did I tell you not to become pure devotee? So he started giving reasons. Prabhupada started, cutting off everything. And Vietnam soldier, such a strong man, he started crying. He gave up all his reasons. Yeah. So then he started crying. So then Prabhupada told, okay, come, beta, acho, beto. Huh? And then he opened some Krishna book. He started reading some Krishna book for to Guru Kripa Prabhu at that time. Chalo. Afterwards, let him go. So then Guru Kripa Prabhu was thinking, what mistake I have done? I was sleeping. I thought Prabhupada book. And then the devotee was telling, he was very proud about his austerities. Okay. He was sleeping only 5 hours. And he was telling everybody, he was chasing, somebody sleeping more, he was chasing. He was sleepless. And he was very proud. So Prabhupada never wanted him to be proud. That's what he was saying. So like that, so we should conquer the sleep by spiritual culture. By tolerance only one can give up, one can conquer desires and avarice. How we can conquer desire and avarice? Only by tolerance. So disturbances from various diseases can be avoided by regulated diets. So if I am having diseases means what? I am not regulated, as simple as that. Okay. So by self-control, one can be free from false hopes and money can be saved by avoiding undesirable association. How to save money? Hmm? If somebody you are very, very wealthy, some unwanted friends will come, right? Prabhupada writes in his Virahastaka, no, yeah, Virahastaka or Vaisheshastaka, one of them, I think Virahastaka. He said that, where are all those my friends, relatives, all those things? No, they are not there with me because I become a pauper. So nobody is actual friend. They are all friend of your money. Hmm. So by practice of yoga, one can control hunger and worldliness can be avoided by culturing the knowledge of impermanence. Dizziness can be conquered by rising up, and false arguments can be conquered by factual ascertainment. So if you're feeling dizzy, what you should do? Just get stand up, rising up. And false arguments can be conquered by factual ascertainment. So talkativeness can be avoided by gravity and silence. Each of these statements one has to reflect constantly. And by prowess, one can avoid fearfulness. If you're afraid of something, what we should do at that time? Not run away. Stand, assess. By your intelligence, you can conquer fearfulness. Perfect knowledge can be obtained by self-cultivation. Atma Vimarsana. Okay. Oh, just only not hearing, you should hear also and also do that assessment, self-cultivation. One must be free from lust, avarice, anger, dreaming, etc. to attain the path of salvation. Next, somebody can help me read.
As far as the women class are concerned, they are accepted as the power of education for men. As such, women are more powerful than men. Mighty Julius Caesar was controlled by a Cleopatra. Such powerful women are controlled by shyness. Therefore, shyness is important for women. Once this control valve is loosened, women can create havoc in society by adultery. Adultery means production of unwanted children, known as
Varna
Sankara,
Shankara.
Varna Sankara, who disturb the world.
Hmm. So important thing is that women are more powerful than men, and hence women have to be controlled by shyness. So therefore, shyness is important. Next.
The last item taught by Bhishmadev was the process of pleasing the Lord. We are all eternal servants of the Lord, and when we forget this essential part of our nature, we are put into material conditions of life. The simple process of pleasing the Lord, for the householders especially, is to install the deity of the Lord at home. By concentrating on the deity, one may progressively go on with daily routine work. Worshipping the deity at home, serving the devotee, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, residing in a holy place, and chanting the holy name of the Lord are all inexpensive items by which one can please the Lord. Thus, the subject matter is explained by the grandfather to his grandchildren.
So, what is the last dharma which Bhishmadeva has explained? He explained the Bhagavat Dharma. Okay. And what is the simple process of pleasing the Lord is to install the deity of the Lord at home, especially for the householders, so that the householder can make the entire house, the resources, the family members, and all of them as the servant of the Lord, with the Lord in the center. By concentrating on the deity, one may progressively go on with the daily routine work. See how one should do the daily routine work? By concentrating on the deity. Means the Lord is the actual owner, you know. So worshipping the deity at home, serving the devotee, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, residing in a holy place and chanting the holy names of the Lord are all inexpensive items by which one can please the Lord. What are these five things? These are the five things. You know, there are 64 things, 64 ways of worshipping Lord in the nectar of devotion. And among the 64, these five things are very, very important. What is that? Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevaya. Okay. Bhagavata Shravana, Srimad Bhagavatam. huh? And by, Sadhu Sangha, residing in a holy place means what? That what is that called as uh,
Bravo.
Mathuravasa, and chanting the holy names of the Lord. Nama Sankirtana. These are the five things, which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has expected us to do, and all these five are inexpensive items by which one can please the Lord. Thus, the subject matter was explained by the grandfather to his grandchildren. Anybody has any questions before we end? Yeah, close the door, no?
In this paragraph, it says the king had to see that the reserved energy of humans was properly utilized. Energy is okay, whatever activity we do with energy. What do they mean by reserved energy? Why that word has been used?
Where is that sentence?
The king had to see that the reserved energy of humanity was properly utilized. Human energy is meant not exactly for fulfilling animal propensities, but for self-realization.
Yeah. So, reserved energy means what? It could be, say, spare energy. Okay, if I have to take an example of that time society, right? Wherein they work, how many days in a year they work?
So,
Huh?
365.
during the farming season, they used to work.
Only during the farming season, only for some 2 or 3 months, they used to work. That's all. Remaining 9 months, no work. Okay. So the king had to see that the reserved energy of humanity was properly utilized. So, what you will do remaining 9 months? Okay, cockfight, gambling. No, use it for Bhagavad Shravana. Huh? Keep on creating events, activities, engage them. Engage the energy of the people, human energy, to not for some animal propensities, but for self-realization. Rather, I'm just, taking one example in my mind and creating it then so that we can understand it better.
Probably even in our life now, what activity we must do that we have to do rest of the time.
Correct. Correct. So, anyway, energy will be used for doing some kind of duties and works to earn some livelihood. Remaining reserved energy should be used for Krishna consciousness. Any other queries? Because in those days, even relaxation does not mean go to malls, this, that, sense enjoyment. Even relaxation also, go out means pilgrimage. So, like that, I'm trying to say. Everything is directed. Yeah. Any other questions? Very nice purport. Very nicely Prabhupada has summarized, all the teachings of Bhishmadev in 2 or 3 purports. So we have to carefully read them. So we will take up the next section in the next class. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
This is so true, Prabhu. Whenever we think we are
Hare Krishna.